Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Joe Scarice, co-founder and co-host of the Creative Birth Strategy House and podcast here every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here to provide education, networking, and strategy. Crazy week, really busy with year end and mid month. So, a lot of things going on with the BRRRR, fixing and flipping, and opportunities that are out there right now. So, we're going to get into it in the next few minutes. Our subject this morning is construction project management, burring or flipping, some strategies to discuss, really dive into it to see really where we can be of assistance to give you some insight and direction going into 2025. So we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. Obviously, I'm going to invite some people in, see who comes in, and we'll have a deep discussion with Alex Condon that I met out in Milwaukee this past year, and we stayed in touch with one another. I'll do a quick, let me just get some invites up here, get myself started. Trying to multitask at the same time, so it's a little uh, multitasking with one thumb. So we'll get started here and we'll be discussing construction project management for real estate investor strategies in just a few minutes. But I really enjoying this discussion. Alex reached out to me, thought it was a good idea. I thought it was. So we're going to ask him a couple questions and then open it up to obviously the audience and other moderators to kind of participate and give their insight and thoughts, maybe even ask questions to um, Alex as well. But I want to always take a step back. First, I want to thank our sponsors. I would like to thank Mr. Yerdell Perkins, who is our social media architect, pretty much the backbone to the entire podcast and social media website designs. Just putting it all together, administrating, really giving back, and he's really the real estate professional social media strategist. So if you want to take some time and reach out to him sometime and have a one-on-one and see how you guys and gals could work together, that would be probably very suggestive. Then I'd like to thank MB Capital, where I'm a referral partner, providing unsecured business lines of credit for real estate professionals throughout the country. I'd like to thank Miss Linda Pelagas of Realty 411, who provides national events and a national publication for real estate professionals and services throughout the country. Then I want to thank Lenmark Capital, where I'm a senior loan analyst providing asset-based lending nationwide for real estate investors and professionals throughout the country on DSCR, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, multifamily, mixed use, blanket loans, portfolio lending, strategy, and advisory. And I'd also like to now thank Elite Dealmakers with Jim Ingersoll, where I'll be collaborating in Philadelphia and South Jersey with subgroups under his Dealmakers wing, his event that he holds out of Richmond, growing out throughout the country. I know he's got places throughout the country like in Texas and Florida and Alabama. So things are moving along with his organization, and we're tying in with them and providing educational events on a monthly basis in South Jersey and in Philadelphia. Um, and there's also some educational events that are coming up that you should be aware of. We're going to have an asset-based lending strategy mastermind January 11th. It will be discussing white label marketing as well as understanding how to underwrite your deals. It's kind of a whole morning or midday event. We're starting around 9 o'clock and start going until about 1 o'clock. But you're going to walk out being a better real estate professional, potentially a broker or correspondent with Ledmar Capital, and understanding the industry as a full scope as an investor, as a potential correspondent with a direct fund. So let's get updated with the market today, and then we'll dive into our subject in first few minutes. Rates came down a little bit, with going into the winter month here. Some good reports were coming out this past week. Rates kind of leveled off on the 30-year fixed at about 6.68. The commercial loans are still hanging tough at the base rate at around 6.375. That means doing a loan in an LLC. So we're hovering around that 6.75 to 7 1/8, 7 1/4, depending on leverage, credit score, debt service coverage ratio, and the asset type. So we're kind of hovering around. Job reports came out pretty good. Pretty excited about that. So things are moving in the right direction going into the new year. Some articles that caught my eye here. Let's see what, if anything, caught my eye. Job reports, definitely something you want to look at. Consumer sentiment rose in December. So did inflation concerns. So that's something that caught my eye. Some layoff reports didn't look too good. Hopefully, we'll get some recovery going into the new year as well. Be very interesting how the Republican Party, when they come in, what's going to happen over the first and second quarter. All predictions show that rates are going to stay up or right where they're at. You're not going to see some. You're going to see massive drops in rates anytime in the first or second quarter, maybe third quarter. I think it might even get a little tighter. Um, some articles as well that caught my eye is this week. Empty nesters, what impact an aging is placing on housing supply. More children are living with family since more than the depression. Um, Home prices growth to decelerate over the next 24 months, which was a very interesting article. And the third one that caught my eye was manufacturing homes appreciating at rates comparable to site-built homes. So manufactured homes are starting to catch up in the market um, as we have still a housing stock issue. College grads combating with rent affordability. And then how is immigration, illegal or legal immigration, impacting U.S. housing costs? So there was a couple articles I pushed out via my social media bucket. So take a look for those as well. Um, and then personally, I'll be down at Triple Play starting this evening. I am speaking at an event for the Sub 2 chapter for Pace Morby today in Newark, New Jersey. So I'm calling in from Newark. I'm actually calling in from Kenilworth, New Jersey, my hometown, and I'll be going down to Newark in just a little bit after the podcast. And we'll be discussing asset-based lending fundamentals, and we'll be discussing white label marketing, which is considered gator in their space. That's a term they use. So I look forward to meeting about 50 to 60 individuals there at a coffee shop where I'll be sponsoring coffee and some light pastries, and really excited about that opportunity. So let's dive into our subject today: construction project management strategies. The BRRRR or the flip. For real estate investors, effective construction project management strategies include thorough pre-construction planning, detailed budgeting, selecting reliable contractors, rigorous project monitoring, proactive risk management, clear communication with all stakeholders, utilizing project management software, and adapting to unforeseen changes while staying focused on project goals and timeline to ensure successful project completion with budget and desired quality standards. So Alex and I met at the Milwaukee RIA probably almost about a year ago. I'll be going back out into the Wisconsin market in early spring and May. So I look forward to running into him again. Alex, good morning and welcome.
Morning, Joe.
So, Alex, I know we've been going back and forth. I know you're looking at some projects as well, and I know you're a young man that's getting into the business. So you asked if we could put together a discussion on this, and I thought it was interesting. So I added it to our Sunday schedule. So who are you, and what do you do, and kind of get a little enlightenment to our discussion today on construction management.
Appreciate that, Joe. Yeah, so I'm located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm an engineer by trade, but most of what I do is construction project management. And I do that both on the commercial side as well as the residential side, So I've been doing commercial project management for 4.5 years, and just this year I bought my first duplex.
Okay. So what is the biggest difference you find in at different tiers of contractors?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to touch on with the group was the different levels of contractors from small residential all the way up to big commercial. Uh, Having been working in commercial before going into residential, it was kind of eye-opening to me how big of a difference there is working with contractors that have done big projects as opposed to contractors that have done smaller projects. And it's just different things to look out for as investors. We're worried about the final outcome of the project, quality, the timeliness, everything. So when the contractors are doing residential, it's quite a bit different compared to working with the commercial contractors as far as professionalism, responsibilities. And it was just something that I found was a big difference. Joe, do you have experience?
I mean, what I have found, time kills deals, and I have found also, never run tight on your budget. So like I think the cheapest contractor that gives you the lowest bid is probably not the one you want to go with. Somebody that's somewhere in the middle of the road or even a little higher with some setting some expectations. But the biggest key that I've had in my construction rehab experience is always having a home inspector come out prior to the construction start to give me a full inspection. And then about a week or two before the last draw has been thrown at, is being requested to finish the project, bringing that inspector back out to do a full inspection as well, because it just justifies that we're going to stay on the same page and get the project done correctly, but yet not have all kinds of extracurricular situations that are not addressed on the way out when now you got to find somebody else to do the work because that contractor rolled with the last paycheck and now you're held with the bag. So that's something that I have found. But what separates a successful construction investment from a failed one in your eyes, Alex?
Well, I'd say a big thing, which is what you just touched on, is like you said, holding accountability at the end of the project. You can't just pay the contractor on his schedule for every single draw and get to the last draw and assume everything is going to be rosy. There's going to be problems throughout the way that you're going to want to communicate with him and her if it's a girl. But um, the
You there, Alex?
yeah, I'm here. I'm cutting up a little bit. But doing a successful project, it's really keeping tabs on the project on a weekly basis, being on site. You got to be doing budgeting throughout the project. You start the project with a budget that you spend a lot of time on. You put it in spreadsheets and you got scope, but you have to be updating that as you're going, as you find new things out throughout the construction project. The deeper you dig into the building, the more unforeseens are going to arise. So
Mm-hmm.
you have those built into the project budget and contingencies, and transferring those contingencies into actual costs as the project goes is pretty important.
So what's been the biggest lesson learned from your first fix and flip, or fix to hold really, in the multifamily residential investment space?
Uh, my biggest thing that I learned was that getting the home inspection is an awesome start to the process, but he's not going to be able to cross every I and dot every T, or cross every T and dot every I, because most of the time they can only get to so much of the property to see what's actually going on. And looking at things like watershed and how the water comes off of the roof, goes through the gutters, eavesdrops, where it exits. How does that tie into the long-term feasibility of the structure? Uh, Walking over the floors, you're walking on the subfloor. It's a little soft here. What does that all entail? Is that a simple replace the OSB that's underneath the LVP, or do you got to dig down into the framing of the building and actually adjust the framing to get the proper strength so the floor doesn't continue to settle? Just looking at the worst case scenario is sometimes what you need to do. Especially an older property. The property I bought was built originally in 1920. So you're dealing with a plethora of different codes. The codes weren't even really in place when the building was first built, and then obviously how have all the rehabs been done over the years.
So, how important is curating the customer schedules and budgets for your project? And how long should you take to plan a project? I mean, the average renovation for a rehab BRRRR or flip is 6 to 7 months. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's good. I think if it's a flip, you want to be going a lot faster if possible. And it depends on what contractors you have access to, what relationships you have built, how much cash you have, where you can afford to accelerate things to reduce money costs if that's what the ultimate goal is. If it's a fix to hold, I mean, obviously you have more time because your intention is to hold the property, but is the debt stabilized? So, I mean, your debt structuring is going to drive a lot of how fast you need to go. And then besides that, next thing is basically you really want to get the property stabilized, get the majority of the capex done, and
Okay. And then how critical is networking to the success of the project? I know we met at the Milwaukee RIA. So what's your thoughts on networking and building out your power team behind the project? Has that helped you?
yeah, you talk about power teams all the time, and creating relationships and local connections is key to a project success because that's at the RIAs, at the local events, that's where you're going to meet a lot of the contractors that you do want to work with, contractors that aren't afraid to put their name out there that are advertising that they do high quality, good work for investors. And other things too, you want to be still in touch with agents that are in trend with the local markets. So that way, when you're halfway through your project and the market is still continuing to evolve, you can get confirmation that you're going to have a good outcome. And they can put your name out there if you're trying to do a flip, that you will be already getting kind of pre-advertised.
And my last question before we open it up to the moderators as well. What were some of the top unknowns you found out through your experience on your first flip rehab hold?
My top unknowns specific to my project were that I had a lot of foundation things that I had to work on. So I actually replaced like 20 linear feet of foundation wall on my building, as well as adding piles underneath crawl space to support mud room. So I didn't expect it. I knew that it maybe had some foundation stuff to go on, but it was a little bit above and beyond what I was anticipating. Luckily, being a engineer by trade, I had the tactics to get it knocking out cost effectively, but just something to look into that when you guys are doing your buildings.
Good stuff. I appreciate Alex. I appreciate you coming on and having your first interview on our podcast here on the Creative Birth Strategies podcast. Listen, construction management looks real good on HGTV, having the twins talking or flip Salt Lake or flip LA, flip this. Listen, at the end of the day, it's numbers and having the right power team and putting the right contingencies in place and having the right advisory, the right software in place to keep things on track. So these are very important factors, and Alex got to feel that and through his first renovation. And I appreciate him coming out and holding me accountable to having this discussion here this morning on the podcast here at Creative Birth Strategies House. Good morning, Dee. We'll go with ladies first, of course. Dee, good morning. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to construction project management, BRRRR or flip.
Good morning, room. Hi, I'm Donna Page, known as D Page here on the app. I am a long-term buy and hold investor, actually operating out of the Milwaukee, Wisconsin market. But we do manage our rentals across 9 states and then do midterm rentals in a couple Caribbean countries as well. So, as it relates to the topic, Joe, construction project management is absolutely critical. We know that our businesses will basically live or die by how well we manage our renovation or construction projects. So, just really interested in hearing the expertise that will be shared on the platform today. This is not, something that I do on a regular basis. I'm generally the client versus the contractor. So I'm here more as a student, but certainly wanted to see if there was an opportunity to share where I can. So thanks for having me.
So Donna, what's your thoughts? I mean, you own in Milwaukee, you've done rehab to the properties that you own. What's your thoughts on timelines, working with contractors, reviewing quotes? What has been your experience as a woman in the business? It's always a little more, I feel pressured because it's the man's world on the contractor's side. So how have you facilitated that as a real estate professional?
So first off, I generally, when I was starting out, I've been doing this, Joe, for over 30 years now. So I have a little bit of experience under my belt. But again, I'm not the girl that swings a hammer. So I've always relied on the expertise of those that I could trust, tapping into certain networks to get those solid referrals, people who have a a really good reputation in the area or in the industries that we work in, and just kind of relying a little bit on some guidance in that way. But as far as timelines are concerned, we look at historical data. So I'm talking to people who have done similar work, figuring out what that looks like so that when we do get these bids, we, make sure that the numbers are lining up, but also that the timeline is realistic. Oftentimes my experience, particularly in this market, is that because of some of the weather patterns and things that happen, sometimes contractors can be a little glossy eyed as it relates to how long a project will take. And, again, those carrying costs can really make or break the profitability. So, again, just having, like, my dad's been doing this for absolutely ever, having, people like my father or some of my other colleagues that I work with from time to time, or people that I even, just learned from some of the real estate meetups. I'll usually just run some of the information by them if I'm a little unsure, just to get a little, additional information on it.
Excellent stuff, Donna. Thank you very much for your insight this morning. Deborah, good morning and welcome. Brief overview of who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Construction project management, BRRRR or flip.
Good morning, Joe, from Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been a realtor since 2005. I love coming in your room. One of these days, I'm going to buy a fix or flip. So I don't have the experience. And when I do, I definitely will use you, hopefully. And my project will get off. I've got a lot of ideas and just waiting for that opportunity. But I think it's going to come in 2005.
Good stuff. Good stuff. But my question is, you as a realtor representing potentially a flipper or rehabber, what have you found the most common denominator when it comes to construction management to either stabilize the property to get to the next one, or somebody that wants to buy and flip it? Where do you find your services most helpful for them for insight on the construction side, maybe for referrals or your network, et cetera, in the Vegas market? Deborah?
Yeah, Joe. I have been with or know of the management companies, the big ones that are out here, so that would be a benefit. I also know the area. So if anybody wants to invest in Las Vegas, I've been here since 1988. I know the good areas. I know the bad areas. I know, pretty much all of that, what the rental costs, what some of the rents are going for, if they don't know that. So that would be my expertise. I've seen bad management companies, and as far as tenants and stuff like that goes, I hear it every day from tenants. Oh, they don't fix this, they don't do this. I sold a unit. They were condos, and the actual roof was caved in, and I said, how are these people living here? It was awful. I wouldn't live there. So you have your bad owners, and you have your good owners that take care of their properties. So I just was showing properties yesterday, and he had the old tile countertops, and some owners don't want to fix up their properties and leave them like they are and just collect the money and let it go down. Others fix it up and put granite countertops and make it nice and hopefully don't get destroyed. But I have both ends, and then you've got nice owners and their properties get totally trashed. And I apologize for the chicken sounds, but I'm out feeding. But so houses get trashed all the time, and it's a shame, but it happens. So I hope any of that helped, Joe.
Thanks a lot, Deborah. I really appreciate your insight, and I still think Vegas is a very good market. I think there's an opportunity there, whether STR or MTR. I think it's a highly trafficked. What I like about Vegas, it's the most convenient airport to get somewhere in a direct flight anywhere in the country, anywhere almost in the world. So, if you're in sales and you need to travel one place to another, getting out of Vegas to go where you got to get to is an easier flight pattern. And the suburbs of Vegas, I feel, is going to stay very robust because of that. It's not going to just depend upon the casino and entertainment business. I think there's a very different type of dynamic to that market than any other. So we have a new guest here this morning. Diana, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and do you have a statement or question in regards to construction and project management, BRRRR or flip?
Good morning. I'm Diana, and I am in Minnesota, and I'm in the assisted living space. I've been in this space for quite a while now, but I am working on a construction project. I bought a little over a half an acre of land, and I'm looking to build an assisted living facility. And I'm just running into some issues with the GCs. So I was kind of wondering, how do you get like a construction project manager? Because I think that's probably what I need, just because the bids I'm getting, they're just not exactly where I need to be financially.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll be able to get some insight from the next several speakers. But one, I'd probably look at see if there's an association in the state of Minnesota for construction, project management, or some type of builders league in Minnesota. Like example, in South Jersey, there's a South Jersey Builders League, and it's all these service providers that tie into um, the industry itself, but there's traditionally a lot of project managers that are in attendance or in company of a lot of the events because they're looking for the mid-size or small to mid-size projects that are out there where somebody like yourself needs some to pull the reins in on these contractors to make sure the numbers are going to be what they say they are by the end of the project and you're not exposed, right? Does that make sense?
Right.
I'd probably look at a builders league or some type of builders association. ABC, there's a ABC Construction Association, American Builders Construction Association. That might be an option as well. I definitely would dig into that. I mean, you could always privately email me and throw your scenario, and I could do a little homework for you online. But I think that might be the best route to go because I think all areas within every state has some form of construction groups where project managers and management companies linger to help you with those type of circumstances.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
My pleasure, Diana. So, listen, some key strategies that you need to keep in mind with project management. One, detailed pre-construction planning, site assessment, design development, scope of work definition, and budgeting and cost control, accurate cost estimations, regular cost tracking, value engineering. Then there's contractor selection and management, vetting process, clear contracts, regular communication, project monitoring and reporting, project management software, regular site visits, progress updates, risk management, identifying potential risks and mitigation plans, and communication and collaboration, regular meetings and clear documentation. And then there's some important considerations, local regulation, doing a market analysis, sustainability practices. These are all key factors to construction project management successes or failures. Good morning, Linda. Welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Construction project management, BRRRR or flip.
Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, investors. I hope everyone's doing great this morning. My name is Linda Pliagas, and I've been an agent for over 17 years. I also own Realty411.com, which is a news and information website for real estate investors. We publish magazines as well as host events as well. Now, when you purchase a property, more often than not, we have a plan and a goal with that property in mind already. But let's face it, sometimes things just don't go as planned. Ideally, investors should try and keep every property they purchase and use the BRRRR method, where you refinance and repeat and not sell and flip the property. However, it's not always possible to keep every deal. An investor has to flip a property if The principal, interest, insurance, and property taxes will simply not be covered by the monthly rent if they were to rent out that property. An investor will also have to dispose of a property if they are relying on the proceeds to pay for their life expenses. If you can try and hold on to the property for 1 year and 1 day, you'll benefit because you're going to have to spend a lot less money on taxes, and you'll also on property gains, and you'll also be able to keep a lot more profit as a rehabber. I always advise flippers, if they do 5 flips per year, keep one of those flips as a long-term hold, because the reality is true wealth is in ownership, not flipping. Now, the flipping provides the large sums of cash that we need to be able to afford to buy and keep some properties long term. So as I mentioned, on some of those deals, you have no choice but to flip a property. But my advice is, if you flip a deal because you can't keep it, try and make a goal of keeping your next property that you purchased. Do so by perhaps partnering up with someone so you don't have to put any of your own money into the deal. If you have a lot of knowledge, if you know what you're doing, and you have a history of expertise in the history of doing positive deals, you'll be able to find partners that want to do deals with you. So you'll be able to use a lot less of your own money, and hopefully you'll be able to start keeping some of the flips that you do in the future. Thank you so much, Joseph. Back to you.
Thanks, Linda. Did you know that effective project management can increase the chances of project success by up to 80%? So by implementing proven strategies and techniques, you can overcome common hurdles in construction projects. Construction projects can be complex and challenging. So, investors struggle with keeping projects on track within budget and up to quality standards. Amy, good morning and welcome. Brief overview: who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion. Construction project management, BRRRR or flip, and love to get your prop tech thoughts to this as well.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
Amy Fowler. Sorry, I'm in Copenhagen, Denmark right now.
Oh.
Helping me. Yeah, I was on a trip for my master's program. Oh, yes, thank you. And so we just got here, so I'm a little tired, but want to come into the call. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so talking through construction management. So I guess, this is right up my alley. I was a general contractor for 15 years, and I was a real estate investor for, I've been in construction and real estate for 21 years. So when you're looking at doing, especially with us, when we started doing our foot, yeah. Right. Did I lose you?
No, you're here.
Am I good?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So anyway, so I would say, obviously it's a process, it's a system. You need to learn those things and try to get better as you do it. If you're a first time investor, always hire a good general contractor. But what I would tell you to do is be on site every day, and don't just come every day once a week. I mean, if you're really trying to learn, the best way to do that is to learn from the contractors that you hire and talk with them, and, go watch your plumber do plumbing, go talk to your electrical, be there when they're trying to solve problems, because those things are going to be invaluable to you as you get further along in your journey. So it's always a really good case. It's constantly kind of just, you don't want to be annoying and be in their way, but you also want to be there to kind of watch and learn. And so on your first sets of investments, that's what I would do. It's what we did. I mean, we were trying to learn a lot of different things, and we were doing, when I first became a GC, the poor electrician, I would just follow him around. I wanted to learn what he was doing and how he was doing stuff and how he was handling things. Good thing he was nice to me, but that's kind of what you do. And so people will be helpful if you're good about it and you're trying to do stuff. But there's the other edge of the sword is just they're trying to get their jobs done. So don't do it too much, because then they'll not want to tell you anything. But always, people, you're generally, if you want to ask them for advice, they're always willing to give you a good insight or two. So that would be my thought there. But processes and systems are always going to help you. So from a prop tech side, there are more and more construction management systems coming out now that can help you. Obviously, there's the big ones, but there's also some smaller players in the game. Jet Build is one, which will help you kind of manage a larger construction project. But and then there's others. But what I would venture to guess for you is last point would be when you are considering what you're going to do to a home, I would really, really, one of the things that we would used to do is we would go look at the comps of the other houses that we were flipping or doing a rental. We go look at the other comps in the neighborhood for what the finishes were. We didn't guess. We looked at what everything was selling or renting for. But if you want to differentiate yourself, I would definitely look at adding a line item in there for smart home technology, because those things will lease faster and they will sell faster if they already have those installed. So that's hypothetical, Joe.
Well, enjoy your time in Copenhagen and knock it out of the park.
All right. Thank you so much.
Get some rest. Thank you, Amy, for jumping in.
All right. Thanks. Sure.
So we're going to go to our gentleman here next. But some takeaways that I've gotten so far from just the discussions having with the ladies. Some really key takeaways: clear project scopes guide, execution and help avoiding misunderstandings. Prioritizing, health and safety protects workers and investments. Effective communication and documentation keeps projects on track. Project managers spend about 90% of the time on the communication tasks. And construction management software boosts efficiency and teamwork. Let's go to our gentleman next. We'll go from the top to the bottom. We'll go to Travis. Good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Construction project management, BRRRR or flip strategies.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Travis. I'm a real estate broker here in the Houston market, and do a lot of property management and managing not huge projects like apartment buildings, but your typical make-readies and rehabs and some remodels. So, yeah, I think it's very important, and I think a lot of people have touched on some good points. One of the things that comes into my mind when I think about when you're getting bids from contractors is there can be a huge range in dollar value of what somebody wants to charge you to do something. I'll give you an example, and Joe knows this house. I call it the gopher house, where I had to have the slab level here recently. I'm looking at a house that's only 1,250 square feet. It needs probably about 35, 40 piers. I can't remember. And some of them were internal. I guess a lot of them were interior piers, but the bids range from $7,500 to $35,000. So, and I'm meeting with all these foundation leveling companies, and I'm asking them, okay, especially the guy that wanted to charge me $35,000, right? Like, what is it that you're doing that's so much different than the guy that's going to charge me $7,500, And most of the time it's all about, oh, we're going to give you this warranty and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, dude, does it really matters to me? Everybody's giving me a warranty on their work. So why are you $35,000 and this guy's $7,500, So, it's kind of like there's a plumbing company here called John Moore. They're a big plumbing company in the Houston area. And the running joke with most of us is, yeah, you call John and you're going to get more. All right. Cause that's their slogan. Call John and you'll get more. Yeah. You get more of a bill for the same work, like 3 times, 4 times what a normal plumber would charge you. So, the lady that's talking about wanting to build her assisted living center and contractors are giving her some ridiculously, high numbers that doesn't work with her budget. I would tell her, go and find the people that are actually doing the work, because maybe the people that she talked to, they're just subbing everything out, right? So now you got to go find the subs. And I've been successful at finding subs, just kind of driving the neighborhoods and also getting on Facebook groups for the area, for investors or contractors, and finding subs that way. Use Angie, but definitely keep interviewing contractors. And the guy there, Eric, or I think his name is, the new guy. Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go there. You gotta be on site. Whoever said that, you gotta show up. Don't show up just once a week. You want to be there, making sure these guys are showing up and they're getting the work done.
So, Travis, where do you find the biggest weakness in the management of the project itself? Like, is it the subcontractors? Is it the GC? Is it the mechanicals? Where does it go wrong or go sideways a little bit, where you got to get it back on track? Have you seen in the recent years post-COVID? What have you seen the biggest problematic issue that's relevant every project that you run into? Is there something, a common denominator?
Well, there would be something common in the ones that I've been involved in, and it was the general contractor, where the general contractor is not really looking over the project. It's not there, right? He's not, or he doesn't have somebody there every day working, looking over the people that should be showing up and doing the work. So that general contractor, if you're using a general contractor, is very important, and they have to be there. They have to have somebody there every day. I have learned my lesson so many times, buying properties out of state and trying to, run crews from Houston and get things done in like Alabama, and I have no GC, and it's really, really difficult. So need someone there that can be there every day when people are going to be showing up.
What do you say to the person that wants to self GC their projects?
Yeah, expect it to take a lot more time than you think. I spend, I don't know, half my day at the property site when guys are there working, and sometimes I'm just having to run around and get materials or whatever. But there's always something that'll come up, right, as they get into a different area of the project. Oh, we found this. Okay, well, if someone's not there to look at it and diagnose and figure out what are we going to do, then they have to stop, or they're going to try to figure it out, which is probably not the best thing in most occasions.
Great stuff, Travis.
Yeah, you're going to spend a lot more time than you think.
I really appreciate that, Travis, and I really look forward to seeing the next Gopher Hole project, hopefully in the next couple of months. It was very inspiring on Facebook. I think there's some great tips here that Travis, the ladies have provided so far. Developing a plan, building that network out. Alex was right on point. You got to build your network. Consider different types of properties. Maybe look at a 2-family instead of a single family. Maybe a 4-family instead of a 2-family. Balance risk management and organization and stakeholder relationships are key. And using a software for tools, a project management software, and you got to communicate and collaborate. It's not all about texting people. You got to be there on site. You got to monitor and evaluate the project's progress, developing a solid game plan, and facilitating real-time collaboration and communication. Justin, good morning. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Construction project management, BRRRR or flip.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. I'm Justin Jefferson. I'm down here in the Southern Louisiana market. Uh, I'm doing project management right now, pretty much every day for Habitat for Humanity. I'm also a licensed broker. I've done several fix and flips and stuff like that. You know, I mean, I've heard some pretty good advice. I think um, one of the more general pieces of advice I'll give anybody, like the young lady who Miss Diana was looking to build her facility. First of all, a facility is going to have a completely different set of assisted living facilities. Going to have a completely different set of rules and regulations that come along with the building of that, that kind of space, just because the ADA stuff that you're gonna have to be looking at. So I would recommend for you to get with, like Joe was recommending, there should be a builders association somewhere nearby. And there should also be a RIA. And if you're getting any sort of funding or assistance from the state or from your city or county, they should also be able to recommend somebody. I think this is something that going to a building consultant or a developing consultant wouldn't be a bad idea for yourself. It will increase your cost a little bit, but it will guarantee that your project gets done the way it's supposed to get done. The bank should approve it and so on and so forth. So as far as your budget, I don't think that's something that you really, and I don't know the details of your project and what you're trying to do, but yeah, just so those are my thoughts on that. I think you should get some professional consultant with that project specifically, just because of the things that I do know can and potentially will be involved. On the other note, I do know somebody looking to do that, so maybe we can talk about it, and you can give me some of the things that you gained, and we can talk about that later. But project management in general, I think it's down to your process. There are a lot of things you have to cover. Even when you're looking at a lot to build, for example, the first couple of steps. Even before you go to the bank, me and Joe were talking about this the other day. You're going to have some money spent, depending on where you're building or looking to build. You may have to have a feasibility study. You're going to need to have your set of plans, which to get a set of plans, you're going to need to go to your zoning and figure out what you can build, how big, how many units which you're looking at. So there's a little bit that you have to do prior to getting ready to move any dirt or even putting any plans to move dirt on paper. So a good project manager, and if you're looking to compensate somebody for project management, they need to have some pretty strong systems in place that not only get these things done, but they're able to be transparent with you about how they get them done and what you're paying for them to do. But a good one is absolutely worth it. Good getting you through your project. I wish I had them, but I was in that role, but I learned a lot along the way. I've had several wins, a couple of losses that they're a little heavy, but I'm telling you, it's absolutely going to come down to the systems knowledge base and knowing how to navigate whatever style project you're looking to do. So, Joe, I'll answer any questions you have or what have you, but.
Well, I mean, setting clear expectations, Justin, right? I mean, and establishing clear communication channels and building that strong team. Like you're elaborating to that, and strategically choosing the right project management tool software to make sure it all stays on track. I mean, all this is key factors. And, to Diane, I did do a quick Google search. I mean, right off the bat, I got Builders Association of Minnesota, Central Minnesota Builders Association, and Northern Minnesota Builders Association. So depending on where your project is, I would be becoming an attendee, an affiliate to one of those groups, a member, and build your base of people to protect you and your project. you know In Philadelphia, there's BIA of Philadelphia, which is a builders industry association. Every area has one. It's just a matter of identifying the right one, to identify the right people in those rooms to basically surround yourself with that are smart. They're smart people. I want to hang out with smarter people in spaces that I'm not the smartest in. Okay. I need that assistance, as a lender. So I depend on a lot of other service providers with their expertise to make my process for my clients better, seamless. When I have a client come say, "Hey, man, I like this area, I like this project, but I don't have a contractor there," where I assemble a team for them, because I know I'm going to be working on a construction project. I'm getting paid. I'm not working for free. I'm getting paid to put that together for them, and hopefully that works out well. I give advisory based on the size of the project and renovation of the project based on the purchase price, based on their expertise as well, because again, it's got to match up. Steve, good morning and welcome. Thank you for your patience. I know you got a lot of ammunition here to kind of discuss and go over. I really appreciate the time last week speaking at your event. It was really nice. I enjoyed the people that were there in attendance and their company and their questions. So, brief overview: who you are, what you do, and starts to our discussion this morning on construction project management, BRRRR or flip strategies.
Yeah, thank you for coming up, Joe, and for everything else. My name is Steve Franco. I'm a broker, landlord, a little bit of flipping, and I also teach people real estate investing and kind of run a brokerage firm that focuses on wholesale, because not enough people know that on January 8th, Pennsylvania requires a real estate license to wholesale residential property. Call me for information on that. Anyway, so I definitely agree that having a team and having a GC or someone running the team, as someone who does mostly smaller, single, double, smaller flips, smaller turnarounds, GCs often don't frankly fit in the budget, especially when your total purchase price on the property is, 50, 75,000. You're putting about the same in there. You may not find a quality GC that frankly is interested in his percentage of that for running it. So a lot of times you end up hiring your team directly. And then as someone said, you do end up on site a lot more often. Yes, you can flat rate a job, you can give very specific scopes of work, but I still find on this bar to convenience store conversion I'm doing, I'm down there twice a week because maybe the team gets stuck on something, that maybe the guy who runs that team, isn't around and whatever. So you have to some of your own time has to be in there if you're not going to have a GC. I love the idea of a before and after building inspection. And just the realization that stuff is going to come up and your budget is not going to go down. It is going to go up. They're going to open a wall and find, dead body or whatever it might be. With this bar conversion, it's interesting because we did get several bids and, the client went with I was the broker and I'm also acting as sort of the guy on site because the client is out of town. So I'm sort of just doing a lot of just visiting, consulting, not really guiding the project, but kind of being the body. And he went with the lowest bid. And of course, every time we turn around, there is something new found. And he's like, well, how come we're going up to the original number? I said, because the original number wasn't wrong. I said, would the original number have gone up? Probably. But when you went with the lowest bid, everything is going to be a change order. And when you open a wall, everything's going to be a change order. So you have to realize when you're going into your renovation projects that there are going to be things found. There are going to be things that you didn't, see coming. And for us, the biggest time annoyance of the small apartment turns is, okay, after you're done, you go back through and now the entire apartment is beautiful. And again, these are 19th century older buildings that we're updating, so they weren't built modern. Then there's your punch list that was not on anybody's scope of work. And there's another cost ride. So, maybe big, maybe small, but realize there will always be things that were not counted on. There will always be things that were not planned. You get the whole place done and then you say, oh, well, we thought that kitchen looked okay, but now compared to the rest of the apartment, that kitchen looks dumpy. We got to do it. Something like that. So expect issues and don't expect, if you do have a GC, it's great to have a team. It's absolutely essential to have a team. But at the end of the day, it's your project. At the end of the day, there's going to be questions that even your GC is going to have to call you and say, hey, Are we going left? Are we going right? There is, in my experience at least, never a completely passive project except maybe new construction. Because when you're renovating old buildings, there's always things that come up, and your GC or your electrician or your whoever is going to say, hey, this should happen. Can it happen? Or, hey, here are your two choices. So always expect, even with a team, to be involved. The last note I give everyone is if you are dealing with, for any reason, chucks in a truck, let's say demolition, those, meaning like taking walls down, not major demo. Any labor only, for me, is always paid, only labor. I buy the materials. They don't get a dime until they're done. And when they're done and to my satisfaction, then I pay them. Those people especially, W-9s, workers' compensation paperwork or workers' compensation releases, proofs of insurance, and a liability and waiver of lien. Have your paperwork lined up that covers also their subs, so that the more paperwork, the less chance of a battle later. And your pros don't, I still do this with my pros, but your pros don't need it as much. Your master electricians, your master this. But if you are going outside the master category for any reason, have these things, because you are responsible for their workers' comp very often, unless there's a waiver or other coverage in place. You can be responsible for their health insurance, for their this. Have your paperwork right. Talk to a lawyer.
Great stuff, Steve. I really appreciate that. And Steve has two great events every month. I know he's got one coming up this Wednesday in Mountaintop, Pennsylvania. So if you have time to be up in that area, try to reach out and meet up with Steve. Great guy to have in your bullpen up in that market. Every project is not the same. And elevating your projects to the next level, you have to be integrated. You have to approach each project with a solid game plan. You got to know all the details. You can't be 50-foot level. You got to be right in that, nose to the grind there. And putting the right team in place. And having a sound documentation process, facilitating real-time collaboration and communication. These are real, and always be tracking what's the next thing, you know what I mean? And rolling with the changes. Managing multiple construction projects as well. What if you have a couple rehabs going at the same time? You really got to be really in the detail. It's very important that you don't miss things here. So, a couple things coming up this week. If you're around in the Jersey market, tomorrow evening I have a cigar event down in Atlantic City. It's supporting the AAA convention for real estate agents in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. We have a holiday party in Lehigh Valley on December 19th, 6 to 9 at the Bethlehem Fegley's Brewworks. Very excited about that. And we're going to be rolling out an event up in the Lehigh Valley starting in February, second Wednesday of every month. And then we're going to have the Philadelphia holiday party at my wife's offices at 4th and Lawrence in Old City in Philadelphia. So you want to come for the weekend, a Friday, Saturday, Friday night. Is going to be key for our discussion. We're going to have a light beverage and wine and snacks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Friday night, I hear Santa's going to come as well. And then coming up in the new year, we have some really great subject matter coming up. We have Health is Wealth on January 6th in real estate. We're going to have it at Restore Wellness in Marlton, New Jersey. Very excited about that because I'm a member of Restore. I do cryo, red light treatment, everything to just keep my body in check. Vitamin supplementation has really changed my my pattern on health and wealth. And then January 11th, we have the asset-based lending fundamentals course, where there's CE accreditation. There is accreditation in white label marketing, being a broker or correspondent, understanding how to underwrite your deals from the beginning to the end, understanding DSCR, understanding fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, blanket loans, underwriting analysis. We're going to go right into it. There's breakfast, there's lunch. It's all sponsored by myself. And then January 13th is probably one of the better discussions we're going to have on the Philadelphia market. We have Kevin Gillen, who is a chief economist of Drexel University, a brilliant gentleman, friend of mine, and business associate. I look forward to having that mastermind at the Elite Dealmakers event in Philadelphia. And then we're starting Elite Dealmakers in South Jersey in February and rolling that out with Joseph Polidoro. He's going to talk about off-market deals, wholesale or off-market, how he's identifying opportunities, what softwares to use. We're really rolling out some great subject matter going into 2025. The podcast is here every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go to our website at creativebirdstrategies.com. We have over 80 podcasts being provided. I want to thank our sponsors this morning. I want to thank Mr. Uriel Perkins, who is the fabric behind all this. I mean, he is just a social media strategist for real estate professionals nationwide. I'd like to thank Miss Linda Pelagas of Realty 411. I have her magazines in a box. I'm going to be handing those out at Triple Play Convention tomorrow on Tuesday morning. I want to thank also MB Capital, where I'm a referral partner in the unsecured business line of credit program for real estate professionals throughout the country. I want to thank Lendmark Capital, your asset-based lender nationwide, where I'm senior loan analyst. And I want to now thank Elite Dealmakers, where I am extending events on their behalf in Philadelphia and South Jersey, and soon to be Lehigh Valley as well. And very excited about that new collaboration in going into 2025. It did a lot of homework on that. I want to thank Alex, who came in here and held me accountable holding this event, this room and this podcast on construction project management, BRRRR and flip strategies. And my quote this morning, I listen to this gentleman quite often. I find his information really inspiring. Alex Hormozy. You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt. I want to thank everybody. Be blessed on a Sunday morning. I'll see you during the streets of Clubhouse, Facebook, LinkedIn, Creative Bird Strategies. Everybody have a great day, and I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. Thank you.